Rick Mayfield. I'm Director of Learning and Achievement for San Luis Coastal Unified. I'd like to welcome you to our forum on virtual learning. First, I want to let you know that there is interpretation available. There's an icon with a globe on it, and you can click on that globe at the bottom of your screen and select your desired, or select Spanish. So hay un globo, hay un icono en el debajo de su pantalla si quieren oír a la Junta en español. Y dice interpretación y tiene que escoger al español. Okay, are there any other protocol things we need to cover before we get started, Mandy?
No, but just be sure that if you are listening, your mute is on and your audio or your visual is off. So turn off your video and mute yourselves.
Okay, yeah, for large groups of people, it's very helpful to have that done. We will take questions at the end of the presentation. And at that time, we'll go over how to raise your hand and be selected for a question when we get to the question and answer. So today I'd like to present our Principal Darla Batistic for Elementary Virtual Learning Program, or the VLP. Darla, can you wave for us? And also I'd like to introduce Chris Dollar, who is the point person for Secondary Virtual Learning Program in terms of setting it up and getting it started. Once it's started, you will contact your secondary school site administration or counselors for assistance. But Chris has been a tremendous help in getting the secondary program set up in the virtual learning program. Okay, what we're going to cover today is I'll just give a brief overview of what the virtual learning program is, why we created it. Darla will present some details on the kindergarten through 6th grade program, and Chris will have some details on the secondary virtual learning program, and then we'll take your questions and provide answers at the end. Okay, so you know, these are interesting times, and in the spring and into the summer we realized that we needed to come up with some alternatives for our families within our district. San Luis Coastal has a reopening plan. Plans A, B, and C are together in one plan, and the board at this point in time has decided that we're going to start on distance learning, or Plan C. But we also wanted to offer an alternative to our families to remain in a virtual learning platform for the entire school year. So we have created the virtual learning program. We have two distinct programs, a K-6 program and then a secondary 7 to 12 program. And we'll give you details on what those programs offer as we go on today. We do ask that families make a year-long commitment to the virtual learning program, and there are several reasons for that. The staffing, to make sure that we have enough staff to cover the students who are interested in virtual learning program, is a critical element, and still have high-quality staff at our regular schools. We are currently hiring, in fact, I hired a teacher today for our virtual learning program. We are currently hiring to make all these programs work for the number of people, and to have folks coming and going within the two programs is problematic in that regard. The same holds true for planning. In order for us to plan quality programs, we need to know how many people we're talking about, and what grade levels they're in, what subjects they want to take, in order for us to create high quality programs. So we do ask that families make a year-long commitment to the virtual learning program. Having said that, if a family, for some reason, when we get to our decision point in December, wishes to make a switch one way or the other, back to their homeschool site or into the virtual learning program, they may apply to do so on a space available basis. We cannot guarantee that there will be a spot, but if there is space available, we will consider that application. In our entire program, kindergarten through 12th grade, students will still be connected to their home school. So all students will remain enrolled at their home school, receive Parent Square notifications through their home school. They will remain connected to their home school, kindergarten through 12th grade. At elementary school, it'll be a very similar program, if not the same program, to the distance learning model. High quality teachers, daily interaction with their teachers, in a live synchronous format as well as a videotaped asynchronous format. And at the secondary level, it's a little bit different program, and there'll be a weekly check-in with all subject matter teachers. All math students, for example, will have a math credentialed teacher. English students have an English credentialed teacher, and they will have a weekly live check-in with their teacher to talk about their progress and discuss any issues or problems that they might have. As I mentioned, our elementary program is very similar to our distance learning program. The same content will be covered, the same format of the content will be covered. The same curriculum that we use in our distance learning, we will use in our virtual learning program. However, at the secondary level, it's quite a bit different. And so the Apex learning platform is what we have chosen to use. It's a program that we have used for several years for our summer school and also for credit recovery and grade recovery courses. And it does allow for some independent learning, and kids can kind of go at their own pace. However, I will say that it's a very rigorous curriculum. The original credit courses that we're going to use in Apex for our secondary program are rigorous, and it would be students and families would be advised to keep pace with the recommended pacing schedule of Apex because getting behind, it can be problematic for students to catch up, and we'll give you some more details on that Apex program as we go. With both of our programs, we're striving for structure and rigor, and we want this to, as closely as possible, resemble a regular school year in terms of student progress and student growth academically, while still, maintaining quality relationships and helping our students with social emotional learning and other issues that might arise during the regular school year. Okay, so with that, I'll introduce Darla Batistic, who's our elementary K-6 VLP principal, in addition to being principal at Teach Elementary School.
Hi everyone, welcome. I'm glad you could join us today. I'm Darla Batistic, and it is my pleasure and honor to be the principal of the K-6 VLP, as we're calling it, the Virtual Learning Program. We have hired 5 teachers to teach in our program, and as Mr. Mayfield explained, they will run like typical classrooms in our distance learning plan at your neighborhood school. We have a kindergarten teacher. You can see our assignments up there. Some of the teachers may be familiar to some of you from around our district. Some are longtime district teachers in our virtual learning program, and some are new to our district. So you'll have an opportunity to meet those teachers both on the first day of school and then at our back to school night. Coming up soon. We haven't selected our date yet, but it looks like it'll be the second week of school. We will and have already begun to communicate with families via email. We are trying to get our school set up as a school and parent square so that it really will be that one-stop shopping for communication. But during the next couple of weeks, we will be emailing you. And if you have a student who is enrolled in the K-6 VLP, you should have already received a couple of emails from our school site and our school site secretary, Janet Crabb. You may contact our office at Teach Elementary, 805-596-4100 if you have not had communication from us yet. And then as Mr. Mayfield explained, your children are still connected to their neighborhood schools. And so you still have messages coming in Parent Square from their neighborhood schools. And you should at some point be able to toggle back and forth so that you can find out what's going on at your local neighborhood school, and then also from the VLP, where the messages will be separate. Our office staff right now consists of Janet Crabb. We have a new secretary starting in about a week, and her name is Katie Hughes. You'll meet her as she comes on board. We are creating a Google site so that if you want information in general about the school, you'll be able to connect there, and we'll send that link to all of our families through that email and or parent square. The last item on this slide talks about devices, materials, library books, and other book pickups. We felt like it would be easiest for you to be able to do those things at your home site. So we're gathering materials here and we're sending them to your child's home site starting tomorrow. And you can attend their pickup day at your local neighborhood school in order to pick up your device and any classroom materials. The teachers have been working solidly for a week to prepare things for the elementary kids, and you'll pick up a bag, your device, and any books that are needed. And then our plan is to continue that pickup of materials about once a month from your neighborhood elementary school. We'll send them there, they'll be there and ready for you to pick up, and we'll let you know when they're available. If you would prefer to pick things up at Teach Elementary, which is at the Cal Poly entrance on Grand Avenue, if that's convenient for you, you can let us know and that can become your pickup location. But for this first pickup, all of the materials are going to neighborhood school sites. I look forward to working with all of our families and creating our own virtual learning program community.
There we go. Thank you, Darla. Appreciate that. For our secondary program, as I mentioned before, Chris Dollar has been assisting in the creation of the program and organization of the program. And then once the school year gets started, we'll shift the administrative responsibilities and duties back to the site of your student. So if you were to have an issue and you attend Laguna Middle School, you would reach out to Laguna counselors and or administrators for assistance. Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris Dollar. Currently, I am the principal at Pacific Beach High School and also the Deputy Director of Student Support Services. So I've been asked to help get this program up and running. I'm sure in large part due to my extensive experience in the area of alternative education. So that's what we've been working on for a lot of the summer. I have a few updates. The middle school and high school VLP students can expect to receive a schedule this week for their virtual classes. I apologize for the delay, but we are in the middle of shifting our information systems, and it's been quite a project. So you will be getting schedules this week, hopefully as soon as possible. Similarly, all communication regarding the program will be relayed, like Darla was mentioning, via their home school's Parent Square account. So the administrators from those schools will be communicating with you via their homeschool Parent Square account. Each school has assigned an administrator to oversee the VLP program at their school site. So if you have issues with a class or something, your first point of contact as a parent would be with a course instructor, and if they can't resolve the issue, then it would be with the site administrator. I saw many of our teachers were logged into this meeting, and I thank them for showing up and logging in and listening in. I wanted a chance to introduce those teachers real quick. Our English teacher will be Jeff Liebrick. Lene Coiner will be teaching 7th through 9th grade math and a whole bunch of electives. So thank you, Lene, for stepping up to do that. Christy Burleson will be teaching geometry, algebra 2, and AP statistics. Fatima Salah will be teaching middle school and high school social studies, all of it. Leslie Salter will be teaching middle school and high school science. Sylvia Kohler will be teaching Spanish. Nina Reinecker will be teaching music appreciation. Raquel Meinke will be teaching art appreciation. Julian Kirsten will be teaching health. Jason Heimerdinger will be teaching media literacy, which is an elective. And Stephen Turry will be teaching PE. And I believe he is the last to join us because I think we literally just hired him. Our secondary VLP administrators at the school sites will be Carl Bloom at Los Osos Middle School, John Calandro at Laguna Middle School, Jeff Cadwalder at Morro Bay High School, and Nick Frost at San Luis Obispo High School. I wanted to explain about course options and course lists. So student course lists are going to be very similar to what they would have been assigned to were they doing distance learning at the high school. So the Plan C model at their school. They're not the same though, because the course offerings are diminished in Apex, and we couldn't align all the courses exactly. So one example would be Ag Bio. There's no material or curriculum for us to be able to replicate Ag Bio in a virtual learning program. So instead, they'll be assigned to a different class that would satisfy the same A through G requirements, as well as satisfying the same academic requirement for graduation. As Mr. Mayfield mentioned, all classes are going to be instructed via the Apex Learning Platform. And when you receive your students' home schedule this week, you'll also receive some videos and some other materials about how to log into those classes on Apex. As Mr. Mayfield also mentioned, all classes have a credentialed instructor to coordinate, monitor, and grade coursework, but instruction will be primarily conducted via the Apex platform. Instructors will host office hours daily, like their colleagues at their home schools, if your student needs additional assistance. Weekly class check-ins are also going to be conducted. If you have an issue, you can also reach out to other students enrolled in the course, and we're hoping that teachers will be able to facilitate contact networks within their courses. Lastly, your student can also make an appointment with their instructor via email to get help. All class instruction will be asynchronous. This means that they're not going to be hosting a class at a specific time. There's no official daily schedule, so the work is self-paced, similar to an independent study program, but there is a calendar for each class and a pacing guide of due dates. Apex courses, I wanted to take the time to explain a little bit about the Apex curriculum. Apex courses are very text dependent. It's a lot of reading with some video, but the majority of the instruction is delivered via reading and text on a screen. So make sure that students log in daily to get their Apex courses and complete work. Each course will have a work due date calendar that will outline when assignments are due, and grades can be impacted by late work. If you have entered a parent email address in InfoSnap in past years, and we have that information in Aries, you will receive an email once a week on Sunday with a grade update for each course. If you haven't entered an email address with the district or aren't receiving grade updates, talk to one of your course instructors or the site administrator, and we'll make sure that this gets taken care of. You can also ask your student to show you their student dashboard in Apex, which will show you their course progress and grades. It is important, because of the self-paced nature of the Apex curriculum, and because it's so text dependent, it's important that you set a schedule and a school routine with your student so that you know what they should be doing every day. Please check in with your student regularly. These Apex courses are not modified, meaning we haven't changed the structure of it the way we have for some Apex courses in the past. This may be much more rigorous as a result than students have experienced in Apex before. I want to emphasize that this will be very different, or in some cases, a little different than Apex courses they've taken in summer school or through credit recovery. It will be much more rigorous. Your students should be receiving instructions how to access their Apex courses, like I mentioned, before the end of this week. All right, and that's it, Rick.
At this time, we'll be happy to field any questions that anyone might have regarding the program or programs, and we'll see who has the answers. Mandy, can you review the question asking for everyone?
If you want to raise your hand to ask a question, please go to the participants icon at the bottom of your screen and then click on the blue raise hand icon.
Rick, this is Kim. I'll let you know when hands are up. The first one I see is from Adam. Adam, go ahead.
Hello. I have a couple questions for you guys. So the first one is, how many students are enrolled in the VLP for K through 6 and also for 7 through 12?
Total number, Adam?
Yeah, or for each group.
Darla, are you aware of the elementary enrollment numbers?
Yes, we have about 100 students, approximately 100 students enrolled in K-6.
Thank you. And
Chris, for 7-12, do you recall the most recent data?
Off the top of my head, I want to say it's a little over 120.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
About right.
And also for the material pickup, I wasn't quite sure. Is it for your zone school or for the school you're enrolled in?
It should be your home school where your child attended before or where you attended before.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
I'm not seeing any other hands. Anyone else? Here we go. Joan, please. Joan, if you'll unmute.
Thank you. I really appreciate you all taking the time to share this information with us. When you said that there's a lot of reading of text on a screen, is there a way to download that material, to print out that material so it's not all bandwidth time or staring at a screen time? Thank you.
I'm not 100% certain since I haven't interfaced with the Apex learning platform myself on that user end of things. I know we've had problems with that in the past, so I couldn't say that to anticipate that you'll be able to do that easily. But yeah, I don't have a really good answer for that right now.
It would still be, you could probably can download things, but it would still be a video that you're watching, you know, on a screen or reading the text from the screen.
Rick, the next one I see is Carissa.
Hi, my son took an Apex class this summer, and do you know how long teachers will be available? One issue we had was classes, the teacher was only available to 1 p.m. in the summer school, and so he would need things unlocked or have a unit test proctored. This was an algebra class. And that would mean he really couldn't keep moving forward over the weekend, for instance, if he'd missed that window to get enough done to move into the next unit.
Yeah, these courses will be set up quite a bit differently with the material spread out over the semester. So if you're taking an algebra course, for example, a student is taking an algebra course, they'll have 2 different semesters of algebra. And so the pacing should be a lot better than it is in summer. Summer is a very compacted timeline for getting the work done. And also, you know, some of the summer courses are changed and augmented for that reason. And so, you know, you may see that the courses, as Mr. Dollar mentioned earlier, are a little bit more rigorous, but students will have more time to access the curriculum. And then you will get a schedule, a class schedule from the instructors, and they will indicate on that schedule when they're available for office hours and for questions and to reach out for any issues or problems that might arise. They would be expected to work a typical teacher workday, which for secondary would be about 8 a.m. I believe the technical 7:50 is the technical start time until about 3:30 in the afternoon, give or take, right in there.
Rick, the next hand I see is Karen.
Hi, yes, thank you so much again for all that you're doing to make this work. My question is regarding to rigor and excellence. I did hear when you were talking about the 7 through 12 program that there's certainly commitment to rigor. How will you be monitoring the commitment to excellence and educational standards? I did hear that there were several new hires that are starting, which are wonderful, but also it does take time to absorb the district's commitment to excellence and understand that. Are there evaluation processes set in place that you are anticipating?
Yeah, good question.
Thanks.
Yes, of course. Good question. Yes, you know, this is a time when we are all learning new skills, right? All of us, you know, I remember when we made the decision to design a virtual learning program, I thought, okay, let's see what that's going to look like. And, you know, we've done, a lot of us have put in a lot of hours to make this happen. And our teachers have been absolutely amazing, you know, through the emergency period of the spring, how they responded in such a you know, quick time to make virtual learning happen. But now we've had some time to kind of look and see what are best practices in distance learning and virtual learning. And this week, this current week, teachers are going through a week of workshops on best practice in distance learning and learning skills of how to interact with students and, you know, make sure that the students are engaged and there are excellent things happening in terms of teaching and learning. And then, you know, to answer your question specifically about evaluation, absolutely. You know, our evaluation process is based on a growth model. You know, what we're after is helping our teachers to develop skills year after year after year. None of us ever stop learning. And right now there happens to be a steep learning curve for all of us, but we will continue to work with our teachers to provide support and help them to grow their skills as virtual learning teachers. We'll absolutely be monitoring that.
Rick, the next one I see is Laura. Laura, can you unmute?
Hi, I actually had a couple of questions. First of all, I know that we have the form that we're supposed to fill out regarding electives. I'm currently in the process of trying to enroll my student as a dual enrollment at Cuesta. So I don't know how that would work. Would I just pick the electives right now, and then if he gets into Cuesta, would I be able to drop the ones that he didn't need, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. Chris, can you help with that one? Would that be communicating with a counselor at this point in time to figure out exactly what?
Yeah, the schools have a policy around dual enrollment issues, so I would talk to your school counselor about any questions related to dual enrollment issues.
Yeah, I actually did ask. I checked with her this morning and asked if he were permitted to take his electives via dual enrollment at Cuesta, and she said absolutely. So then I started getting the ball rolling for that, but of course I won't, you know, they have to get back to me. It's going to take probably a couple days, etc. But I want to fill out his electives form through Google Docs that we've been sent. So I didn't know if I would be able to just put in what we would think, and then at a later point be able to drop those classes from Apex. And as well as PE, I don't know how we're going to get our PE requirements fulfilled.
Well, PE will be offered through Apex, and we have a credentialed PE teacher who will be teaching that course. I think they keep an activities log, and there are lessons on the different aspects of physical education, but that will definitely be able to occur through the Apex program. In terms of the electives at Cuesta, my understanding is that each of those courses, we find an equivalent course within our district catalog and match it up to the Cuesta course. And then you get a specific approval that the Cuesta course will meet that specific course requirement at San Luis Obispo High. So you want to make sure once you get the electives at Cuesta that you know what it is they're counting for, what credit they're counting for in terms of your San Luis High calendar, and get those approved by the counselor and the administrators at the high school.
And go ahead and pick my electives through the Apex, whatever, art history or whatever, and then I would be able to drop the Apex course.
Yes, I would do that. The Cuesta courses, I believe, begin this week. So yes. I would do that and get approval as soon as possible so that you can make those changes as soon as possible.
Okay. And then my student does have a 504, and you're mentioning how rigorous it is. He has taken Apex courses. He actually completed both history A and B over the summer, this past summer. But when you're saying that it's very rigorous and that they're not modified at all, I was kind of getting a little bit apprehensive. And I know that it's a year commitment. How does that work if we get into it and it's just way over our heads for his current abilities and workload?
Yeah. Well, we work with all students to make sure that they're successful, whether they're in a virtual learning program or in our regular schools.
Okay.
So as soon as difficulties occur and you're seeing in your child that he or she is struggling, please reach out to the instructors, reach out to the counselor, and we'll do everything we can to help make that student successful. Students with 504 accommodations will work also within that to make sure that the student has what they need to be learning. The rigor question, I think because it'll be spaced out over an entire semester, you may find it to be a little bit more rigorous than summer, though not as hectic and fast-paced as over the summer. But there are, there'll be assignments in there that maybe you didn't see over the course of the summer. But of course, we will provide the support that your child needs to be successful. So I would just communicate early on.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's also important to note that, you can request a 504 team meeting at any point. So if you recognize that your student is struggling and our normal attempted interventions that support are insufficient, you can request a 504 team meeting. We'll have a 504 team meeting and determine if any further modifications or supports are necessary. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
All right, fantastic.
Hi, Rick. The next one I see is the Camp family. Camp family.
There we go. Sorry, I had to unmute. Hi, Rick, by the way. So I just had a question regarding the electives as far as the semesters go. We picked out those 3 electives today. How is that working with the APEX and the semester change?
Yeah, my understanding is the electives are 1 semester courses. So for the middle school, there was one on apps and another one on gaming, I think. And those are 1 semester courses. So you can take one the first semester and a second one the second semester.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
The next one I see is Jenny. Jenny, if you can unmute.
Hi there. I was wondering, so you mentioned there's teacher check-ins once a week. And is that as a class that they check in, or is that individual? And if it is as a class, or even if it's not, I was wondering if it's possible to know what other children are in the same quote unquote class, so that we could reach out if we want to do any study groups over Zoom, or if we wanted to chat with other parents that are kind of going through the same thing.
Yeah, great questions. Teachers will schedule things in a different way for what works best for the students in the class. But my guess would be that it would be a weekly class check-in. And I'm sure they'd be happy to share, who's in the course, so that, people can work together, help one another out. If a student misses, that kind of thing. But those schedules should come out independently from teachers to you. They'll be available for office hours as well, so that you could call in and get some individual help with particular course content or any other issue that arises.
I wanted to jump in and say, I don't think teachers can release class lists due to confidentiality restrictions, but they will be, students will meet in a class-like Zoom environment, hopefully once a week. And with that, they will be able to set up study groups on their own, exchange emails and contact information as much as is allowed, in that class environment. So that was the hope, is that students would be able to set up their own study groups and stuff like you were mentioning.
Okay, great, thank you. And do you know how long those class meetups will be? So it's once a week, is it about an hour, or?
Yeah, I don't think we've made the schedules up yet, but it will be a weekly check-in.
I don't see any other hands up. Please press the blue raise hand if you have a question. Otherwise, it looks like we are finished going through the questions.
Great. So at this point in time, if you have a specific question for the K-6 program, you can reach out to Darla Batistic and her secretary, and they would be happy to help and assist with those questions. For secondary, you can reach out to your school's administrators and or counselors for the logistical questions, and they should be able to answer most of those. And we really appreciate everybody attending today's session, and we hope that it was helpful to clear up a few things. And we look forward to this program being successful and accommodating our families who need this particular type of learning for the year. So thank you all for your attendance today. It's greatly appreciated. Take care.